The National Council of State, which has passed a vote of confidence on the president's administration. The security, the economy, and the recent protests against bad governance were also on the agenda. Well, joining us now is Arise analyst Dr. Sam Amadi. Good to see you and thanks for your time. They all converged, and save for some who weren't there, I think we'll ask your comment on that. But again, it's so important to the extent that those who were not there physically had to join virtually, like Abdusalam Abubakar and I can't remember the president now. Yakubu Gowon. But let's talk about the importance of this, because prior to this, we had seen other elder statesmen and women converge, meeting the president to speak. What Nigeria has gone through in the last few weeks has never been experienced before. This is the first time Nigerians are saying in unison, we want a change in the things within the country. But the president's men, they spoke after this, and they said, well, away from what you think was a protest, this wasn't a protest. For Dele Alake specifically, he said, it's a movement. So, movement, protest, vote of confidence, we have a whole lot on the plate, Dr. Amadi.
Well, first, this is an important institution, the Council of States, set up by Gowon immediately after, set up by Murtala Mohammed when he overthrew Gowon. I think it should be maybe July 20th, 1975. Then we had three structures: the Supreme Military Council, the Council of States, and the Federal Executive Council. Now we have the National Assembly doing the work of the Supreme Military Council. We have the FEC stay there as executive arm, and then this advisory body of former presidents, Chief Justice, former Chief Justice. I mean, apart from President and Vice Presidents, the only former there are Chief Justice of the Federation and then current speakers. So this is like a plenary of stakeholders, if you like. And their constitutional responsibilities are advisory, on population, on election, INEC, constitutional membership, on any other issue that the president seeks for advice. So primarily, we would expect the president to go to them and say, this is what I want to do, what do you think? But it happened watching the video, it sounded to me like another, what they call Council of States. The other, no, not FEC, the other governors, that the VP chairs, where they present reports. So it's more like an administrative stuff. Two, the
like
notion.
The Economic Council?
Economic Council, thank you very much. So that's where you expect a lot of project-based analysis for state governors. And of course, state governors participate in this as well. Three key points. One is that it's important, this is the time, this government is witnessing legitimacy crisis. That's part of what pushed and came out of this. And I've said before, when you have a 34% electoral mandate, you broaden it through incorporation. So efforts to get former presidents is part of creating a much more broader legitimacy. Some of them have strong reputation, people like Jonathan probably growing in image and likability, not too much with political traction on ground, okay? So, but anyhow, they can help the government. So it's a good idea at this point to bring them.
So when the Council of State, passes a vote of confidence on Tinubu's administration, does that give this, this question of legitimacy or otherwise? I mean, does it give legitimacy to those who think this government is not doing well?
I think it will be discounted just like in currency because the value is less so. And I tell you why. Obasanjo didn't come. I mean, today's Nigeria, unfortunately, after leaving power for probably getting now to 2 decades, he has remained the most credible in terms of public perception, interventions across Africa. Now, and if people who are not part of your club,
you don't think that's subjective?
No, in terms of, look at the global. There's no debate about that. He's the guy who keeps writing books. I am a student of development. I see books he could write. So no debate. It doesn't mean he's a good guy or bad guy. Reputation is there. Now Jonathan, since leaving power, nice guy, doing a lot of work with ECOWAS and the world and election, but has not been involved in politics. So he's not carrying a PDP mandate. If he had remained in PDP, this is to say multi-party sectorial endorsement. But he lost election, disappeared. In fact, has been working more with the government, whether it's Buhari or Tinubu. So if you do a profile,
he's chosen to be a statesman.
Oh, that's nice. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying in terms of politics, he is not. He does not has a constituency he is speaking to. We're looking at legitimacy question here. So this endorsement is not cutting the eyes in terms of those who think the president, those who think he's not doing well. So that I'm trying to show the profile. Yeah. Again, this is advisory group, and these are statesmen who have what you call stake in status quo. I mean, you don't expect Gowon or Abdul Salam or Jonathan, and if I was there, I wouldn't do that, to be the one telling you didn't do well. I mean, on what basis? So,
but if they are not in a position to say to the president, right to his face, you're not doing well, not necessarily a blanket,
condemnation,
dismissal, but to say, look, in these areas, maybe the way you responded to the issue of bad governance, for example, using force and what have you.
Let's assume
nobody else is better placed.
No, let's assume they did that privately or they did that in the meeting. Don't forget, this is what they're telling us. But I would say that they're not going to come out and say it didn't do well. But again, knowing the if you like, Nigerian political system is too conservative. I don't see anybody in that room really who would go that way. But let's assume they did. The second question is what Alake raised.
I was waiting for that.
That's really pathetic, and I say tell you why. This protest we saw was largely uncoordinated in terms of you don't have a figure. I mean, both Deji and Shaware, who appear for the South to be strong, have no traction in the North. I mean, they can't even move 10 people in the North. You could look at this electoral map, 0 up there. So the factor that drove the northern angle of this protest were local issues about hunger, disappointment in government. So if it was a movement, then it's actually a movement put together by crisis of governance. And if the people who are the president here are telling him this cock and bull story around the removal of government, look, unlike NSAS, when we saw some militarization, so you could say the NSAS protest probably go to Tinubu's establishment, burn down something, go to the Oba of Lagos. One can read some, whether it's real or not. This one, you can't read a particular political move, at least at the level of power. This Abuja, we didn't see any instance of burning, attack against security. So there's nothing like people trying to put down government. That's number one. Number two, there's a physician with election. Why should someone like Aleke at this point talking about wait for 2027? Look, the essence of protest is to signal to government that something is not going well. These people who protest are not necessarily people who want to go and stand for election. So a government that's thinking about, we have a mandate 4 years, wait for us next 4 years, is a government bound to fail. That's dangerous because it means that you petition to governance. You are fixing on election. That's the problem of this administration.
Sorry to cut you here, because now you've just raised a very important point, Northern Nigeria. And it's a shame that our leaders are not looking at that ticking time bomb. Absolutely. We saw what happened in Northern Nigeria. Absolutely. Shouldn't the Council of State, shouldn't every elected officer be speaking, and even religious leaders, be speaking about what we saw in Northern Nigeria in the last few days?
And that's where they got it. And that's the point I said we're too conservative. This is a meeting for advisory. It's not a meeting to roll out program. We've done this. It's for the president to seek advice and say, look, we're in a country that's divided. We're a country where our youths are given to violence in this part of the country because of poverty, hunger, several issues that even other leaders have raised. Can we have a Marshall Plan? Right. What do you guys advise me? So you don't turn it into providing a justification to say, they came and endorsed me with vote of confidence. I don't think really, and that's the truth, nobody wants to remove any government forcefully. I think this is about saying people in government are not listening. So I agree with you, this is a national emergency. The demograph of this violence, of this protest rather, and the messaging that went with it before and after should have made government to say, let's leave politics around this. That's really, of course, politicians will weaponize it. I mean, there's not APC, PDP, Labour Party will take political advantage. That's not the point. The point is that this is not a political movement. This is the Council of
States, to round this up, actually commended Nigerians for resisting any unconstitutional move, to change government. On the one hand, and would you say it's a missed opportunity both by those who were present at this, meeting, and former President Olusegun Obasanjo himself, who shunned the meeting because, I mean, he's always criticized. Wasn't it an opportunity for him to be there and be more frontal?
Well, look at it this way. If you look at when Buhari was there, Obasanjo skipped several of those, a few of those things. Because they understand that presidents provide this as routine for branding. If you really want to call this meeting, the point you're raising should have been, for example, calling Nigeria for resisting. That's not, see, the point is that this protest, look at what's going on in Zimbabwe, look at Gambia, look at even across the world. Yeah. There is a cost of living protest. In fact, our own was not as steep as probably places where, like Bangladesh, where we saw people take over parliament. So this whipping around, they want to remove us from power, is pathetic. It speaks to this smallness of looking at power. That's not the point. So yes, it's a missed opportunity for those in the room to say, guys, you have a crisis. The fire next time might be more dangerous, God forbid. They should focus on that. Look, there is so much focus on election. By the way, the council didn't talk about INEC and electoral reform. That is top of the agenda. So I think Alake is a brilliant guy, experienced. Probably this is political for him. He knows truly there was no movement to overthrow government. What we had was a movement of people who government for several months have not listened to because of people like Aleke who are telling the president, everybody around, look, this is about either it's P2P, either it's Southeast, either it's Erufai, this is just about this government may have meant well, but so far they have failed in marshalling these policies and cashing out value.
Well,
and people are
responding. We're out of time. We're out of time. We're really out of time. Thank you for your time, Dr. Sam Amadi, our Rise News analyst.